Jonathan, I don't know that you heard this, but EB reached his boiling point 2 segments ago and just blew his top. It was kind of like you, I guess, about a month ago when you said you were tired of this ass. It's inevitable when you have the losses pile up, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're 4-10. I don't think, obviously, nobody envisioned our season going like this, but, this is where we are. So, as good as your record indicates on the field. And as a team, we just haven't been able to be consistent enough to be any better.
One thing I will say, I mean, there's, I know it's just like you just can't wait for the season to end. But you guys, I thought, put up a fight. It's not great. You don't want to give up 28 points. But I thought you guys were fighting, competing. How did you feel like your compete level was?
I thought we competed very well. I mean, it's kind of been the same thing for the defense all year. I feel like we played pretty well, and then it's just 3 to 4 plays that we give up, and those explosives just kill us. So, I mean, that's just where we're at right now.
Let me ask you an impossible question, and don't think I'm a jerk for asking. I'm just asking, and you could say I don't know. But when you give up so many explosive plays like that defensively, and I know that's not your end, right? Because you always say, I just know what I'm doing. But when you see a team, if you're a fan and you're watching a team and you're with your wife and they're giving up big plays in the secondary like that every third game, if it's Alabama or something, do you say that we're not recruiting good enough talent, or do you say Saban's lost his fastball? It's the coaching. Like, what do you say?
It's tough because when we have a lot of young guys in the secondary with Defoe going down and Jeremy Reeves going down, we have a lot of young guys playing. And in the NFL, we have a lot of young guys in the secondary. It's going to be a learning curve. So I understand it. I get it. It's obviously frustrating. We wish we could all play perfect at all the time, but, that's just not the NFL. And as, one of the leaders on the defense, it's my job to try to make their job as easy as possible. So
you think it's youth and inexperience largely?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I don't – people understand how complicated the game is, but, man, when you're playing against some of these quarterbacks and you have a bunch of young guys in the secondary, any small mistake will get taken advantage of. And, again, it's not just on them. It's also on the linebackers, and it's also on the D-line. We also have to be better. So just as a defense, we just haven't been able to execute this year.
All right, so let's look at the overall picture as we're talking to Jonathan Allen, Pro Bowl defensive tackle. The Commanders right now through 14 games are giving up 384.5 yards per game. That is dead last in the NFL. Giving up 30.2 points per game. That is dead last in the league. Yesterday, Kyron Williams goes for over 100. Cooper Kupp has a big game, has the big touchdown pass. At least in the first half, it seemed like every third down was converted by Matthew Stafford. John, let's talk about your part in it, okay? The defensive line. What can the defensive line do better to get different results?
Obviously, I mean, the easy answer is get more pressure. As a defensive line, we can always feel like we can get more pressure, be better in the run game. It's tough, again, when you don't have each group playing off each other and consistently. I mean, things are going to happen, and, we can make excuses as to why we're not playing good this year, but we're just not a good defense right now. And that's just the fact of the matter.
Now, you guys did have your moments, like you said. I mean, you had a couple times, I would say goal line stands, either making a play, forcing a fumble, forcing a field goal. How much do you kind of get frustrated by, like, complimentary football? Like, how big does that impact you? Oftentimes you'll hear fans say, oh, well, the defense was back out there. It was another 3 and out. They're getting tired. How big of a factor is that?
I think it's a huge factor. Good teams play very good complementary football. But, I mean, there's definitely times where, a lot of times where we haven't held up our end of the bargain. So I think we're frustrated with the result. For me, it's more frustration with the result than frustration with the offense in particular. You know what I mean? There's been times where, both Eagles game offense did their job and defense didn't do their job. And so I don't think it's fair to just look at this game and be like, man, the offense is really screwing us and, whatever people might say, because, we haven't held up our end of the bargain this year.
What is, Ron, can you identify for us some changes Ron has made in the last 2 weeks since he's been the guy calling plays?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like we're more aggressive, sending our linebackers blitzing more, trying to put more pressure on the offense. So that's definitely one of the quick ones I can just think of.
Right, I think I could see that as a fan. I feel like I could see that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Is that the number one thing?
Yeah, I would definitely say that's the number one thing, but also, just our mindset. We've been working on that. I mean, obviously, a lot of stuff that I'm not going to just say out on the radio.
Right.
But, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Right.
Do you feel like this team is close to being good? We thought heading into this season, after last season where you finished 500 at 8-1, with the defense, which was ranked top 5, and some of the moves made in the offseason, that this was potentially a playoff team, and it's gone the complete other way. It's gone off the rails.
Yeah, I do think we're close, but with that being said, I mean, the difference between winning and losing in the NFL is so small that most teams that have a losing record are close to have gone the other way. I mean, you look at the Vikings last year, who were, they were 11-1, including the playoff loss in one-score games. That can easily be the other way around, even if they're not 11-1. If they're 5-6 or 6-5, then it's a completely different team we're talking about. So, I mean, we could talk about being close, but at the end of the day, you're only as good as your record says, and that's just the fact of the matter.
All right, let me give you an easy question here, but I'm going to draw some conclusions based on what you say, I think. This is an easy question. Give me some bright spots. Name some guys that have really been bright spots for you this year.
I mean, I think you look at Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl's playing phenomenal. I also think KJ Henry has been playing really good for us, and those are just two that just off the top of my head. I mean, obviously you can look at the film and see guys who have great stretches and other guys who've been playing consistently, but I mean, I think Cam's been playing really good for us this year.
Explain to me why Cam Curl's playing great, because me as a fan, all right, I'm not breaking down the film, I'll admit. I'm looking at all these big plays, and he's a safety. Isn't he part of all these big plays being allowed?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the best example I could put is, let's just look at, a guy like Aaron Donald. Let's just say as a defensive line, they give up 150 yards. Yes, he's a part of the defensive line, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's the reason. And I'm not saying Cam's not the reason, but I still think if a group is struggling, certain guys can play well. And when you look at Cam, he's made big turnovers for us in big games. And, yeah, he's been a guy who's he's been very consistent for us.
Who's give us one or two bright
I mean, for the record, all right, he's got 0 interceptions and he's forced 1 fumble. When you're saying he's got all these turnovers, I think he's forced 1 this year.
I think stats can also be very misleading. I truly believe that. I mean, you would have to watch the film every day. When I go in there and watch the film, I see a lot of plays that Cam makes, and I'm like, wow, it's impressive. Obviously, as a defense, we're not playing to where we should be, so it's going to be overlooked. But when you look at the film, he makes some really good plays.
By the same token, give me a couple guys on offense that you feel like have been bright spots, that when you sit back and you look back on the season, you go, okay, these 2 or 3 guys, they acquitted themselves pretty well.
Honestly, Sam Cosmi has been very, very impressive for me to watch. I mean, his ability to move 3 techniques in the double team, his consistency in the pass game, he's a guy that I enjoy watching when the offense is out there.
Is he the best offensive lineman we have?
Hard to say. I mean, I think Charles Luna has a very tough job being a left tackle.
Right.
Guard is a little bit different, so it is just hard to compare it.
Right.
Talking to Jonathan Allen, Pro Bowl defensive tackle, on another Misery Monday driven by Chiniga Miles. Join the mission of careers with MIOS.com. All right, so you're on the defensive side. You watch the offense. You commented about a couple of offensive players. A lot of fans are curious as to why Jacoby Brissett comes in. All of a sudden, Terry McLaurin's catching some big balls. Jacoby looks good. We don't get to see him in practice all the time. He probably doesn't even practice that much. What do you see from Jacoby that's different than Sam Howell?
I mean, obviously, the experience is the first thing that jumps at you. I mean, Jacoby's he's not going to be a guy you're going to be able to trick. I mean, he's seen just about everything this league has to offer. And with Sam, him being a young quarterback, he's going to have growing pains. He has to experience things and struggle to learn. And I think it's silly if you assume that a first-year starting quarterback's not going to go through that. And, is definitely, frustrating. But that's the NFL when you have a young guy who's playing the position, especially like the quarterback for the first time. So, Jacoby, obviously, he's been in the league, 9, 10 years. He's won games. He's a legitimate starting quarterback in this NFL, and not surprised.
We're all over the place here. We're just trying to find different things to hit you with. Has Manny Forbes, has his play improved since his little, break time and since they've kind of been weaving him back in?
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, when he was struggling, I mean, his matchups is God. I mean, I don't see too many DBs in the NFL who can't cover AJ Brown one-on-one.
Right.
So it's not like he was out there, playing Joe Schmo. Like, it was real challenges. And, that's the thing about the NFL. What a way to, be welcome to the NFL. I think he's been playing a lot better. It's about confidence. And, at times as a defense, you just don't see the confidence out there. And, if you don't have confidence, you're not a good player. So, as a defense, you just always got to make sure that your preparation and your work ethic matches your goals and dreams. And, as a defense, I feel like at times we let that slip. But, it's a confidence thing. And, there's been times where we lost that.
All right, John, another tough one. You're a stand-up guy for coming on. You guys have lost 10 out of 12, 4-10. Like you say, the record is what the record is. Appreciate your insight and time, pal.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
All right,
It's
buddy.
Jonathan Allen, presented by Main Street Bank. Cheer local, bank local. Put their team in your office. Visit mstreetbank.com for more information. You know how you were saying, I don't know if it was on air or off air, that it wears on you. It's 20 years of this losing. It's actually longer than 20 years. It's our entire radio career, but for a few blips. And, eventually it gets to a point where you're sick of people piling on. Imagine being Jonathan Allen, coming from Alabama and winning all the time, and then you never win here.
I know, but that $7 million a year, that would help.
It definitely would help.
It would help.
But that's why he said he was tired of this
Yeah,
S.
of course. Yeah.
It's got to suck.
It's annoying.
He's of the active players on the team, this is a definite problem with the team. But of the active players on the team, he is the current leader in sacks with 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
That is a major area where they need to upgrade.
Defensive tackle should not be leading your team in sacks.
I know.
It's crazy.
But
yeah,
it is what it is. That's a big part of the reason, the defense has had problems. Now, Montez, it's not like he was lighting the world on fire when he was here, and neither was Chase Young. But they're going to have to address getting a pass rush next season as well. Like the list, it's almost like an expansion team. Whoever takes over, the list is going to be long.
I think it's the worst I've ever seen. I
think you can take your assessment of the receivers.
Go back to the Callahan last year.
Yeah, which is Gruden's last year. Right. I think you can make your assessment of the receivers, and I think you can carry that over.
I think they're decent.
Yes, they're good. They don't have an elite, top 5 guy. They don't have that.
We don't have a super.
Terry McLaurin's very good. And I think the receiving corps can be good enough, but pretty much every position group you can look at.
That's why, honestly,
you're going to want to upgrade.
I might draft Marvin Harrison Jr. because I think that one is probably a can't miss. Do you think he's a superstar?
I mean,
do you think he's a superstar?
From every account, yes. I will tell you myself, I'm not a talent evaluator, and I don't watch that much college football. So what have I seen of Marvin Harrison Jr.? Not a whole lot.
Drab, can you tell me
He appears
quickly,
to be a stud, and he has
Marvin
the lineage.
Harrison Jr. is a superstar. Is he CeeDee Lamb? Is he Randy Moss? Is he a superstar? I can't miss her. I'll be honest with you. I thought the kid from Florida was a can't misser, and he hasn't been yet. Pitts.
Well, I guess
is he a can't misser? Yes or no?
CeeDee Lamb?
No. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, I put him up there. Yeah.
If you think he's a can't misser,
but there's also
I would take him.
There's some really good wide receivers this year.
I know, but is he the best?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And is he going to be a 10-year star? I would take him.
I would think so, but
I might take him over quarterback or everything because he's a guaranteed hit.
I can't take anything over quarterback.
Hits.
I can't take anything over. I'm telling you, if I was
running the quarterback in the second round,
I got to take a swing in the first round with a high pick. You're not going to have many chances with the high pick.
Well, I will probably be sorry next year. We'd be sorry again. We're always sorry.
Take a swing with the high pick. And I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be the man. I don't know if Drake May is going to be the man or Caleb Williams is going to be the man. But I would take a swing at a high pick and not wait another year.
I need a shirt.
Well, Charles Rogers and Justin Blackmon were can't miss guys too, and they were terrible. So you just never know, obviously. But quarterback being the most important.
Were they as hyped up as this kid?
Charles Rogers? I think he went 2 overall. He was, yeah.
I know. They went high, but
I mean, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
This guy's been pretty outstanding.
Yeah, but even if he's really good, you might be doing the same look back that you're doing now for the Tua Herbert draft. Like, man, what if we had drafted? You had an opportunity. What if we had drafted that quarterback high instead of going with the best.
Caleb Williams
Can't
is
miss.
so good.
Hall of Fame.
Caleb
That's
Williams,
what they said about Chase Young.
Caleb Williams is so good. Now they're talking about Drake May being number 1 overall. Like Caleb Williams is such a he's an unknown.
They're
He's
all
an unknown.
unknowns if you want to say it that way.